Hello again, and welcome to this week's video. My name is Reverend Bobbi Becker. I'm the Senior Minister Spiritual Director of Namaste and Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living. And here is Reverend John next to me.
As she says, I'm Reverend John. I am interim coach minister for the Seal Beach Namaste community. And I'm loving this series where we're talking about extraordinary respect.
Yeah. We're going a little deeper into our values as an opportunity to explore and expand our idea or belief around what these values might mean. We've done some visioning, we've done discussions after service since July, and we've even been visioning recently and concluded our community discussions around what the new name could be. Today's topic is extraordinary respect. It comes with compassion. And very excited about this because what is compassion? And specifically, how does compassion relate to extraordinary respect, and specifically in this evolutionary community that we're creating? And the opportunity today is to get to talk about what all that means and what is the why and what is the how of it all. John, why don't you start with sort of the why for you of compassion? What does compassion have to do with extraordinary respect?
Well, I think it's a critical component because we really can't have extraordinary respect for, let's start with the other, if we can't take a moment to really understand where they're coming from, what is happening in their life right now. So that's just the start of the awareness, to be sensitive to what the other person is experiencing.
Part of, I think, being a minister too is we're sort of looking at the entire community as, let's just say in this case we've talked about as the chrysalis, which is deconstructing and constructing in some respect, in all respects, which is how do we show up as a community? And as we come together too as one, learning to be with one another, not just the two communities together, but even within those two communities, different relationships that continue to evolve. And having compassion for another as they're walking through something it's not necessarily, and it's not fixing, and it's trying to not fix, because there's no fixing required on this journey. It's just, yes, being the space, being okay with how others' journey unfolds. We talked about love and boundaries before, and compassion is just having a sense that I can be there in a space with someone while they go through something, and or be with myself. Compassion is one of those wholesome acts, one of those things that everything sits on, like we talked about hospitality on Sunday, John, and how really seeing where the need is and really being present with what's unfolding.
Well, there's a critical competency that to compassion that we really have to understand. For some people, it's like, oh, I can't do any more because the pandemic has taken so much out of us. And what we learned from that is tremendous compassion for one another in some cases. In some cases, it separated us even more. And so as we look at evolving this community, we've got to develop the willingness to really open our hearts to the other, because we've seen what has happened in the past with the pandemic, and we have no assurance that things are going to stabilize in any big cultural way. We have so much divisiveness, and the way through that is really stepping into a greater awareness of what we're all going through.
Yeah, and I think too, the tendency is, we had this conversation on Sunday with respect to seeing the fellowship team and responding. If only a few people respond, it's more time. But it's not about that. It's not about doing more. It's about being present more. And to be present in an experience is to, in that moment, step in and help. And it was really great to see. We had about 40 people sign up to support the fellowship team, which was wonderful. The difference between having 3 people show up and help them and 40 people saying, you know what, there's a need here, let's step up, which isn't going to necessarily add more time for folks. It's something you keep saying, John, which is it's hurry up and slow down.
Well, and I like the way you position that, Bobbi, is, as you've gone through the name change, it isn't something that just happened overnight. We understand that there are a lot of feelings and intentions and desires about what we want to see for a name, for example. And by taking time to listen and hear all of the options, it takes a great deal of compassion to move into that space. But the possibilities that emerge from that are very different than if we take an either-or stance. If we can validate each other from where we are, it opens up greater possibilities to all sorts of innovation and better solutions. So compassion is a key piece of that.
Having that, and just dovetailing on that, having that compassion in this instance as we come together as two communities into one, is to recognize that we won't lose anything by moving forward. In fact, the gain we get is that we gain by reminding ourselves that we're all connected, we're all one, and that opening our minds to something that potentially is greater, we won't lose. We're not going to lose anything. We're going to gain ourselves and gain a perspective by the conscious connection with each other, recognizing that oneness with each other. Our growth is exponential in that way. It's why Jesus said, when two or more. It also means when two or more minds come together. When more minds come together, there can only be love and compassion in that.
And an essential piece of that, another component that must be in place, and this community so far has done a fabulous job of creating a safe place.
Yes.
Safe place so that you can entertain all of those ideas and be present to what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And it's safe enough to do that because you're granted the same grace. So
we've got the October 1st vote has been pushed out to the community as the vote on the new name. How am I going to show up for that? That's the question. How am I going to position myself, walk through any fears I may have, which I think some will, but for the most part, what I've seen is folks ready and willing to embrace what's next. But how can I prepare myself and support others where they're at? That's compassion.
Asking the question before the need for it arises.
Can I notice what's going on in me? And if it's fear, the fear is in me of what is the loss or what is it? And when I'm excited and so excited and can't understand why others are afraid, can I be there for them too? Can I be there for each other without calling it the other or them?
And when that happens, can you reach deep into your heart and remember to take a big deep breath and really remember who you've come here to be?
Exactly. So the invitation over the next week is, as we prepare ourselves for that next step in our unification, which is one name. One name we submit to Home Office, one name which we all live under, which includes this entire coastal plain of Southern California, if we wish, where our inclusion goes far beyond what we could have ever imagined, that companioned with our growth, companioned with who is looking for community like this, we set the tone for that now going forward.
Great job, Reverend Bobbi.
Thank
appreciate
you,
all that, and I appreciate this community.
Me too. Love this work. Love what we do. So enjoy, and next week we'll see you for another video on one of our values. Have a great week.